everyone to another new video. This one is about the political spectrum, how flawed it is, and how it could be rectified. So check it out. So we're gonna be looking at 5 different political ideologies or positions on the spectrum, and see how they align, right? And is the conventional perception or understanding of it, is it correct or is it off? Is it ambiguous? So we're gonna seek some clarity in those terms. So here we go. First ideology, fascism. Represented by Benito Mussolini in Italy, or the National Socialists in Germany, right? In the 30s, I guess. And these guys, also around the 30s and 40s, the communists, right? The communists. But hey, that ain't real socialism, right? That's what they tell us, at least. Now this is supposed to be conservatism. The picture on the left is actually the first Prime Minister of Canada. He was supposed to be a conservative or a Tory, and he just wanted to retain the British identity. He imposed some really protectionist policy and redirected the course of trade, right? Because whatever. I don't want to go into detail. And the guy on the right is Edmund Burke, an Irish political theorist, and he's influenced a lot of Toryism, I think. So that's conservatism. So you place that somewhere on the spectrum. Here's another one. This is liberalism. Liberalism, right? Somebody like John Locke in 17th century, I guess it would be, or even John Stuart Mill would be 19th century, somewhat closer to the guy on the right on this picture, Friedrich Bastiat, who was also a 19th century French liberal theorist. Yeah, you guys should check out his work called The Law. Really, really, really well written. Really well written. I mean, it's one of my favorite. If I ever make a video on that, that'd be top 10. The guy on the left, he wrote the letter concerning toleration, right? That's where the idea of secularism originates, and then that particular work. Yeah, so you check out his work. And then this point of view or vantage point. The guy on the left is Murray Rothbard, right? They call him the father of modern libertarianism, right? His works, along with his professor Ludwig von Mises, is well represented at the Mises Institute, a think tank based in Alabama, Auburn, Alabama. If you guys ever want to check it out. The guy on the right was like the TA or the associate of Murray Rothbard, right? And so he carried on the tradition. Hans Hermann Hoppe, I'm actually reading one of his books right now, Democracy, the God That Failed. I'm like a quarter way through. I'm really enjoying it. It really makes you challenge your thoughts, because society, seems to necessarily, irrationally think almost that democracy is the key to prosperity. He just dismantles that idea. Yeah, so the point of view where they represent is anarcho-capitalism, right? So how would these align on the spectrum? Let's see. This is the conventional view, right? And I mean, it's hard to grasp the pattern here, because it just seems all over the place. All over the place. Anarchism is the extreme left. Extreme left. Right? And right beside it is communism. So apparently communism and anarchism are like, neighboring schools of thought. And then to the right is socialism, then liberalism, then conservatism, and then monarchism, Nazism. Nazi is across from communism, and then fascism. All right, but I think this is flawed, and I don't think this makes sense. It's just all over the place. So there needs to be somewhat more consistent of a pattern. So here I will present one for you. Here I've got a spectrum made up here myself, and so far left, far right, right? So whatever two distinct philosophical ideologies, how much of a contrast they'd be, the farther they'd be from each other on the spectrum. So on the far left, National Socialism and communism, pretty similar, right? They both want big government. They both want to regulate the economy, and perhaps one wishes to nationalize all of it, and the other just wants to give commands, right? Quite similar, it's just perhaps a matter of strategy and how they actually differ. And then we got conservatism, right? So these people, buy some of the ideas of the free market, being free and stuff like this. But then in other ways, they become social, socialistic in some ways. They don't care much for the individual. It's just culture and tradition. And then, oh shoot. And then I gotta do this again. And then there's liberalism, right? Liberalism has to be represented by John Locke, and you could put Friedrich Bastiat in here, and also Ludwig von Mises, right? Ludwig von Mises. And then we got Anarcho-capitalism, right? Which is more recent of ideology, but there was this guy named Lysander Spooner, and he was around in like the 19th century, I guess. He was an anarcho-capitalist. He wrote a book called The Constitution of No Authority, and I wish to purchase that book hopefully soon, this year, next year. So this is the spectrum as I see it. But there's another way to divide up the spectrum, right? Or there's a way to divide it, I mean. And you do that by bifurcating it, as I do here, So the ones on the left perceive society, perceive their units as in a collectivistic sense, So they regard, more so the nation or the society, and not the individuals that make it up. You know what I mean? So for them, the larger unit is more significant. They don't really care much for its individual parts. But individualistic, it's apart from nationality and everything else, an individual, by being born a person, has a right, before ever coming across a constitution or something like that. An individual has, when he's born, God-given right to protect, to defend, to preserve his safety, his freedom, his liberty, and his property, right? Yeah, so that's how individualists see it. So what can this tell us? This political spectrum, why has the how it been rectified? Is it satisfying? You should ask yourself. And also, if you um, follow along with me in recognizing what was wrong or erroneous about the conventional spectrum, then you should try to see what was the intent in that. Was there an ulterior motive just to just to indoctrinate students in a particular way, just to confuse them? Like, did they have an agenda when just screwing up the spectrum that way? So that's what I gotta say for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And if somebody asks you, "Are you a right winger?" you gotta say, be more specific. All right, because I don't know if you mean right winger in the conventional way or right winger in the true way. Right. All right, guys. Enjoy. Like, share, subscribe. Stick around.